It is always a pleasure for me to come before you. I love the daytime ministry. You always welcome me with open arms and with love.
We love you too.
But there is a word from the Lord.
All right.
Amen.
Amen.
So you can stand, as is the custom of this house, for the reading of the scripture. Exodus 14, verses 10 through 18.
All right.
And I will be reading from the Duncan-Smith translation.
All right now.
As Pharaoh grew near, the Israelites looked back, and there were the Egyptians rolling up on them. In great fear, the Israelites cried out to the Lord. And then they also said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt? You've taken us away to die in the wilderness. What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt?
Yes.
Is it not the very thing that we told you in Egypt? You should have just left us alone and let us serve the Egyptians in bondage. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than for us to die in the wilderness. Moses, you got us out here trying to die in the wilderness." But Moses said to the people, "Don't be afraid. Stand firm and see that the Lord will deliver you today.
All right.
The Egyptians whom you've seen today, you will never see them again. The Lord will fight for you.
Yes.
All you got to do is chill.
Woo.
Just chill."
Just chill.
Then the Lord said to Moses, Why do you cry to me? Tell the Israelites to do the following. Go forward. Can y'all say go forward?
Go forward.
Go forward. But lift up your staff and stretch it out over the sea and divide it, so that the Israelites can go through it, through the sea on dry land. Then I will take the Egyptians and make them mad. They're going to be mad again. And then they're going to chase after y'all. And then I will gain the glory for myself. Because I'll be victorious over the Pharaoh, his armies, his chariots, the chariot drivers, all of them. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord.
All right.
Because I've conquered them. Amen?
Amen.
Let a blessing be over the reading of God's word, and let it meditate in your heart with gladness. Amen?
Amen.
Let us go to the Lord. I stand here, God, trembling, God. For it's always
Bless your word, Lord.
an interesting experience to go before your people.
Bless the speaker.
So I ask, God, that you calm me down.
Speak to
and
her
that you
and through
stand
her,
tall in me, God.
In the name of
So that
Jesus
you
Christ.
might get the glory, God.
Hallelujah.
So that your people might be edified. And so that this fear that hovers over us, God, can dissipate. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, and my Redeemer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
The title of my sermon today is Moving Forward and Backwards Thinking.
Woo. My.
Moving forward and backwards thinking.
Oh, you preaching
Sound
hard
like
right
you know
now.
something about that.
Come on, girl. Come on.
The great Genevan philosopher, leader of the Enlightenment movement in the 16th century, Jean-Jacques Rousseau once said, "Slaves lose everything in their chains, even the desire of escaping them." Wow. Slaves lose everything in their chains, even their desire of escaping them. Wow. Rousseau was an interesting man. He was a thinker that wrestled with the nature of humanity. Is weird because he was a European thinker back in about 300 years ago, so we know what he probably was thinking. He was thinking that white folk were civil men, and so humanity kind of applied to them. And that we, folk that look like us, were savages.
That's right.
Well, I think he got that wrong. What he did get right was this idea that slaves lose everything in their chains. They lose everything. They lose their own sense of agency. They don't own their bodies. And how can you own yourself when you are property to an oppressor? How can you determine the agency over your own life when you can't choose whether or not you breathe or die, or whether you win or if you're going to lose? You have no sense of ownership. You lose something. You lose your self-worth, your sense of worth. Not only did they forget their agency, but they forgot that their bodies had value.
Yes.
As a slave, your body doesn't have any value. Slaves are constrained to shackles on their wrists and their ankles. They are constrained by punishment collars wrapped around their necks and muzzles on their mouth and whips across their backs.
Yes.
You start to believe that you are worthless. You start to believe that you have no value. You are demoralized. You are reduced not only by your oppressor's eyes, but you are reduced in front of your children, in front of your wife, in front of your family, and in your own eyes, you become nothing. Slaves lose everything. They lose everything in their chains, their self-dignity, their self-respect, identity. And at last, the white European philosopher asserts that it is human nature that every enslaved human being quite naturally would lose their will to free themselves from this wretched condition. Particularly if you think that God has given up on liberating you.
Yes.
Think that God forgot about you. You're going to stop thinking about your freedom. It's particularly if you have never known what the taste of freedom is. How could you want more? Your shackles become your reality. And could this be true? Could Rousseau be on to something? I mean, he was a contemporary of Willie Lynch. So he knew how to break people. He knew what were the conditions that would break people for generations. And St. Paul, we know about the psychological effects of slavery and how it is generational.
Yes.
We devalue ourselves. We forget who we belong to. We forget to turn to God and turn from God because we are listening to what our oppressors are saying about us. Like the Israelites, we prefer chains of our master than to toil for our own freedom in the wilderness. Freedom is hard. It's not easy. No. And this church knows something about freedom not being easy. We produced the Ma'afa going on 25 years.
Mama.
We know how prayer is interwoven into the stories of our ancestors. Each story has a conversation about the chains that have power. They do something, these chains. The chains are demonic. They bind our minds more than they bind our bodies. They allow us to move forward, but think backwards.
Mama.
Next year will be the 400th anniversary of Africans being dropped on to the English shores of this country. Back then, colonies, Jamestown, Virginia. And the legacy of those chains, even 400 years ago, is still showing up in our everyday life. Thank you, Kanye West. They're still showing up. They showed up in the slaves that told on that term. They showed up there.
Yes.
They showed up in the slaves that decided they wanted to go back when Harriet was trying to bring them forward to future.
Yes.
So let's park there and talk about Miss Harriet. They had the right one when they wanted to go back on Miss Harriet, because Miss Harriet, who they called Moses, was a little different than the Moses of the Bible. She was bold.
Yeah.
She carried a gun.
Yes, she did.
She said, at least they say that she said, I freed 1,000 slaves, and I could have freed more if they knew they were slaves. She had a gun for those who wanted to go back.
Yes.
Because she would shoot them dead. And that sounds harsh now. But your freedom got to matter. And if they would have went back, freedom for others would have been compromised.
That's right.
See, she said once, and I love this particular quote. She said, I reasoned in my own mind that I had the right to two things, either liberty or death. And if I couldn't have one, I most certainly would have another. She was not going back into her Egypt. Her mind was free. And see, we see the effects of folk who aren't free in their minds over and over again. You see it in our children. We see it in our children when they're funneled from the 4th grade into the prison industrial complex. We see it in our children.
Yes.
We hear it when they tease the other kids and say, oh, you're trying to sound white because you don't slice your verbs. We hear it in our children when they tease and they say, you're trying to act white because you're going to go to college. We see it in the people that we know who, when they choose to smoke crack and pump dope in their veins because they're trying to find a modality to escape the pressures of the world. That is what Egypt has taught us. Go back to Egypt and die there. That's warped thinking.
All right.
Moving forward, but thinking backwards. Some of us have our minds chained in the institution of church. Dysfunctionality of using religion and our positions in religion and traditions and embedded theology and the authority that we have because we are saved to beat up on those who are not saved, or at least not saved enough for us.
All right.
You make the church your master instead of the Lord. You make the church your chains, and you're not linked up to glory. You're linked up to the vices of power that oppress people. You're so enslaved to your own righteousness, and it ain't nothing but filthy rags. Amen?
Amen.
You're so enslaved to that you have no desire to escape that. He said slaves lose everything in their chains, even their desire to escape from them. And the Israelites were no different.
All right.
They had suffered under the Egyptians' rules for what scholars say about 400 years, kind of similar to us.
Yes.
We know the story. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. He rose to power, being patient and leaning on the Lord, and the Pharaoh of his time loved him. But there came a Pharaoh that did not know Moses. Did not know Joseph.
Yes.
And he then enslaved the Israelites and created a system of slavery, whereas freedom was not even a question. Whereas they didn't even have to have chains, that the chains were on their minds, the chains were so shackled in their brain that they didn't have to be held down.
That's good.
Kept them enslaved, it kept them on lock, it kept them incarcerated in their mind, and it kept them afraid. Remember the last time I was before you, I talked about elephants. And I talked about the fetters that kept the elephants confined in the circus. Strongholds on their minds. Their minds were not free. Minds paralyzed by fear. And then we have Moses.
All right.
The free-thinking Israelite black man Moses. Strong-minded Moses, a man that was taught, never taught that he was a slave, but that he had value. He never accepted that slavery was a condition for him and for his people, which is why he killed an Egyptian for hitting an Israelite. God would not allow that kind of thinking, despite what everyone else around him was saying. He knew that God had called him to be a leader. And I know you're probably looking at me funny because I'm sure you're listening to me and you're saying, minister. But Moses believes himself to be an Egyptian. He lived under Pharaoh's roof. Yeah. Adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. He had no idea that he was supposed to be a slave because he lived like royalty. He was a prince of Egypt.
Yes, he was.
But that's what happens when Charles Heston tells you who Moses is. When you're reading, you're watching the Prince of Egypt. Because the scripture says in Exodus 2, it tells us exactly how Moses even got to the palace, how he was adopted, but also how his mother nursed him until he was able to eat on his own. His mother, her name was Jochebed, and that means the Yahweh is gloriful. The woman suckled her baby until he was old enough to move. The scripture suggests that he always knew who he was. An Israelite living in a strange land, living in a strange place. Nowadays we would call it a saint in Caesar's household. He always knew that he was one of the Israelites, but was afforded by God's providence a social and economic separation so that he would not be burdened by the projection of inferiority cast upon his brothers and sisters by the master. Slaves lose everything in their chains, even their desire to escape from them. How many of you know that you have been called to be kings and queens in a world that will always, always look at you as a slave? You're living we're living like mice when we've been called. God has called us to be elephants. We're in change and being so oblivious of these chains that we don't even want to escape. In the scripture read in your hearing earlier today, the Israelites said to Moses, because they knew that Pharaoh's army was on their way. They were trapped between Ramses' chariots on one side and the Red Sea on the other. And they said, was this all because you didn't want us to, the graves in Egypt wasn't good enough for us? You would rather us die in the wilderness? Mm. That's what they said to him.
Yes.
You took us from a shore grave to give us one that we wouldn't know about. Mm. They were so afraid of what could happen if they were caught. But not just that, they were just uncomfortable about the existence of freedom, having to earn your own way, make your own decisions, live and die at your own will, that they would have rather endured the lash of their oppressors, comfortable in a state of welfare, being a ward to their oppressor. They would rather live that than to move forward in their own destiny.
Yes.
Moving forward, they're still thinking backwards. They would have rather worked from sun up to sundown than to have walked in their own liberation.
Yes.
Than to have struggled on their own terms. They would have rather died a slave than to live as a free man. Mm. And we ain't got to look back to the Israelites' daytime ministry or even our ancestors. We often stay in oppressive situations because right now, in 2018, we are afraid of new freedoms that God has for us, even over yonder. We keep looking back at our used to do's and keep looking at our familiar yesterdays, and those tomorrows and dreams look so dark and scary, too scary for us to chase after. It's like you're looking down a road, a dark and scary road, and not seeing that the mysteries of God are waiting for you.
Yes.
Instead, you're running backwards. You're running backwards, stuff that your oppressor has told you year after year after year. You won't move forward to the glory that God has already. You're afraid of the blessings that God has for you. Uh-huh. You're afraid to do better. You're afraid to want more. Choose to live like a mouse and not an elephant. We're decorating ourselves with the chains that used to bind us, being slaves to our past and not moving into our call. And Moses was basically trying to tell them to stop all of the grave talk, because they were called to live for so much more. He had to tell them to stand firm and not be afraid. And that the Egyptians that you see today, you will never see again.
My.
The Lord will fight for you. All you got to do is chill out.
Thank you, Lord.
All you got to do is stand still. How many of you know that the Lord will fight for you?
Hallelujah. Amen.
Y'all can clap.
Amen.
How will you know that the Lord will carry you over your respective Red Sea? Y'all can clap for that.
Yeah.
He will comfort you along the scary road of progression. God will not have you die in a grave made for a slave.
Woo.
But wants you to live in the promised land, surrounded by milk and honey. And I know you're like, this is easy to say, but very hard to do. It is hard to do. But we're built for it. God made us equipped to move forward.
Yes.
Even as our minds keep telling us to go backwards. I got 3 points and then I'm out. I saw Elder Randy. I'm here. Oh, God. So I know I can't stay here too much longer. The Lord said to Moses, I know that they're complaining, because that's what the Israelites do, they complain. But let them know they got to trust the plan. Earlier in chapter 14, God and Moses had already discussed the plan. And sometimes God is talking to the leader, and y'all don't hear it. You got to trust the plan.
Yes.
The Lord said to Moses, why do you cry out to me? Because I already told you what the plan is. Right? I already told you. Tell the Israelites to go forward, but lift your staff up and stretch your hand over the sea and divide it. And the Israelites may go into the sea on dry land. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, so that they will go after you. And I will gain the glory over Pharaoh. and all of his armies, and all of the chariots, and all of the chariot drivers, and whatever they want to send after us, I'm going to be victorious over.
Everybody. Yes, ma'am.
The Lord told Moses that. And what happened? The sea parted, and the Egyptians were defeated. You got to trust the plan.
All right.
God wants us to move forward even when we have no context of what forward really is. Even with liberty and freedom and opportunity and abundance and your own stuff and your own joy and your own salvation and your own glory seems foreign and unreal. It seems hard to even fathom. God said it is, so it will be. All right. God said it is, so it will be.
Will be.
All you have to do is trust. Trust the process. You have to trust God's plan. You have to give it over to God. You have to let God not only change the narrative in your life, but let God write the narrative in your life.
Come on here.
You got to give it to God and trust the plan.
Yes.
Number 2, God wants you to run towards your Red Sea. Woo. God wants you to run towards your Red Sea.
That's good.
Enslavement is never an option that God wants for your life. And while in 2018 we're not walking around picking cotton and making bricks without straw, we are living in conditions that weigh us down. But God said to run into the sea. Run without fear, because God is going to part it. That should be a shout cue for some people, but I see that this room is mostly women. And so y'all probably not shouting because y'all like me. See, I'm lucky now that I got a little short dude. But a few months ago when my hair was long, I was not trying to run into anybody's seat.
Come on, get real. That's right.
Some stuff just got to be practical. Lord, I know you want me, but the hot comb, the water. And while that's funny, ain't that how we do it? We use all the reasons in the world, in our nature, to stop from doing what God has already called us to do.
Yes.
God told us he will part the sea. And so our hair won't get wet. So we can walk through it. But our reasons for not doing it, Miss Kathleen, you know what I'm talking about. The reasons for doing it is a standard that our oppressor even set on us.
Yeah.
The straight here is beautiful. Our own reason for not going into the water is, and I'm playing, but I'm trying to make a metaphor.
You're doing good.
What is your Red Sea? Is your Red Sea anything that God told you to do, but you won't do it because it's so big? It's so incredible that you don't believe that God really can carry you through it?
Come on here.
Is it going back to school? God called you to it. God will bring you through it. Is it opening a business? Now I know you're in the sending field, and I know you are a parent, so what you got to do is start some new business. You want to go, you retired, you want to go on a cruise or something, but God has called you to it and will carry you through it. Maybe your Red Sea is
bless our Lord.
Just an opportunity for you to step out on faith and to walk. And just to walk, and while you're walking, God is going to push away the haters. Woo. And God is going to divide up the doubters.
Yes.
God is going to push back anything that's going to stop you from getting to the other side.
Come on, preach,
God wants you to move forward, even as you are thinking backwards. Point 3. You have to trust God's plan. You have to trust God's plan. You have to walk through the Red Sea.
Yes.
Because the Red Sea is designed to, I promise you, give you something excellent.
Mama.
But after all that, you got to make them mad. You got to make them mad.
Make them mad.
Because, baby, if they ain't mad, you ain't doing it right.
Oh, you're talking hard.
You do. You have that haters. You have that folk that when they see you prospering and growing in your ministry, that when they see you, they can't help but frown up their face.
Yeah,
you know you're doing it right.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Believe it or not, that's why most of us don't accomplish the massive undergoings that God has put on our lives. Because we're enslaved to the opinions of other people.
Mama.
They're going to talk about me if I do it. So they talked about Jesus.
Yes.
I don't want their negative energy to affect me. So, but you're walking with the power of God. What their energy going to affect God?
All right.
You ain't doing it right if you ain't got haters. The real deal, God is going to make them mad at you because they're going to be looking at the prosperity that God has oozing out of your life. Your haters will know because they see that God has brought you out of that abusive relationship that you used to be in, and now you got that fine to the bone that you walk in. And anything in the planet of Brooklyn, they're going to see. They're going to be hating.
Preaching now.
They're going to be looking at you like you've been out of work for months now since the stock crop.
Yeah.
And you eating lobster and steak.
Come on.
Where you at? Your 401k won't go up. Amen?
Amen.
That kind of God. Come on here.
Haters. They don't understand what God is doing in your life. And you let them keep wondering. You let them have the dumb face like, wow, how did that happen? You need haters. Walking up in here in a nice suit like that. Who do you think you are? Keep the haters coming. That's how you know that God is blessing you, moving you. How she thinks she want to start a non-profit with teen mothers? You know her daughter was a teen mother. Let them hate. God is still going to use you to bless someone else.
Come on, come on, come on.
You got to listen to God's plan. You got to walk through the Red Sea, and then you got to let them hate. Because haters gonna hate. That's what they built to do. That's what they were made to do. And when they're hating on you, what you do is turn around and give God the glory.
Hey, hallelujah.
Praise God for your haters. And don't be afraid because of them. Because your fears don't give God the glory. Your desire to live like a mouse when God has called you to be an elephant will not give God the glory. The shackles on your mind doesn't give God the glory. Waiting to be buried in the grave that was made for a slave will not give God the glory.
Yes.
No matter how you fix it in your mind, God wants more for you. And he's going to take you down a road that you might not know. Lead me, guide me along this way. We sing these things, we say these things, but we don't believe these things.
Lord.
God has a plan. He wants to take you through this Red Sea. He don't want you to look back. And if he does, you see your haters and you say, bye, haters. For your promised land is on the other side. Amen.